the negative and positive effects of consumption externality. Now, let's start with what market failure is. Market failure is the failure of the market to allocate resources efficiently. A simple example for this is a cake. When the cake is distributed among 3 children, the common sense would be to cut the cake equally to 3 pieces. However, if you cut it like this, that is 1 over 2, 1 over 4, and 1 over 4, this is not fair. This is a simple example of market failure. Market failure results in allocative inefficiency, where too much or too little of goods or services are produced and consumed from the point of view of what is socially most desirable. There can be over-allocation of resources or under-allocation of resources. An externality occurs when the actions of consumers or producers give rise to negative or positive side effects on other people who are not part of these actions and whose interests are not taken into consideration. The other people feeling the effects of an externality are often referred to as third parties. If the side effects on third parties involve benefits, there arises a positive externality, also known as spillover benefit. If they involve costs in the form of negative side effects, there arises a negative externality, also known as spillover cost. Externalities can result either from consumption activities or from production activities. However, in this video, we are going to talk more about consumption externalities. Negative externalities of consumption refer to external costs created by consumers. For example, when consumers smoke in public places, there are external costs that spill over into society in the form of costs to non-smokers due to passive smoking. In addition, smoking-related diseases result in higher than necessary healthcare costs that are an additional burden upon society. When there is a consumption externality, the marginal private benefit or demand curve does not reflect social benefits. In the graph, the buyers of cigarettes have a demand curve MPB, but when smoking, create an external cost for non-smokers. These costs can be thought as negative benefits, which therefore cause the MSB curve to lie below the MPB curve. The vertical difference between MPB and MSB represent the external cost. Note that since the externality involve consumption or the demand curve, the supply curve represents both marginal private cost and marginal social cost. The market determines an equilibrium quantity QM and price PM given by the intersection of the MPB and MPC curves, but the social optimum is Q optimum and P optimum determined by the intersection of the MSB and MSC curve. When there is a positive externality of consumption, external benefits are created by consumers. For example, the consumption of education benefits the person who receives the education, but in addition gives rise to external benefits involving social benefits from a more productive workforce, lower unemployment, higher rate of growth and more economic development, lower crime rate, and so on. Similarly, the consumption of healthcare services benefits not only the person receiving the services, but also society and the economy, because a healthier population is more productive, enjoys a higher standard of living, and may have a higher rate of economic growth. In the graph, we see that the marginal social benefit MSB curve lies above the marginal private benefit MPB curve. And the difference between the two consists of the external benefits to society. The socially optimum quantity, Q optimum, is given by the point where MSB is equal to MSC, and the quantity produced by the market is given by the point where MPB is equal to MPC. Since Q optimum is larger than Q equilibrium, the market underallocates resources to education, and too little of it is produced. The welfare loss arising from a positive consumption externality is the shaded area in the graph, and is the difference between the MSB and MSC curves for the amount of output that is underproduced relative to the social optimum. It represents the loss of social benefits due to the underproduction of the good. If this externality were corrected, society would gain the benefits represented by the shaded area. Once again, we see that the point of the welfare loss triangle lies at the Q optimum quantity of output.
There are 3 ways of correcting negative consumption externalities. They are government regulations, advertising, and market-based policies. Correction of negative consumption externalities involves either decreasing demand and shifting the MPB curve towards the MSB curve through regulations or advertising, or decreasing supply and shifting the MPC curve upward by imposing an indirect tax. Both demand decreases and supply decreases can lead to production and consumption at key optimum and the achievement of allocative efficiency. The price paid by consumers fall to P optimum when demand decreases and rises when supply decreases.
The welfare or deadweight loss resulting from negative consumption externalities is the shaded area in the graph and represents the reduction in benefits for society due to the over-allocation of resources to the production of the good. For all units of output greater than Q optimum, MSC is larger than MSB, indicating that too much of the good is produced. The welfare loss is equal to the difference between the MSC and MSB curves for the amount of output that is overproduced relative to the social optimum. It represents the loss of social benefits from overproduction due to the externality. If this externality were corrected, society would gain the benefits represented by the shaded area. Note that, once again, the point of the welfare loss triangle lies at the Q optimum quantity of output.
For subsidies, a subsidy to the producer of the good with the positive externality have the same effects as direct government provision. It results in increasing supply and shifting the supply curve rightward or downward, as shown in this graph, which is same as the previous graph that we have shown before. If the subsidy is equal to the external benefit, the new supply curve is MPC minus subsidy, and it intersects MPB at the P optimum level of output. Again, price falls from PM to P optimum. Q optimum is produced and allocative efficiency is achieved. Correction of positive consumption externalities involves either increasing demand and shifting the MPB curve towards the MSB curve through legislation or advertising, or increasing supply and shifting the MPC curve downward by direct government provision or by granting a subsidy. Both demand increases and supply increases can lead to production and consumption at Q optimum and the achievement of allocative efficiency. The price paid by consumers increases with demand increases and falls when supply increases.